Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. Just got done listening to the Humble Pie, the A&M CD box set from 1970-75. 8 CD set, so with the first 7 albums they did with A&M Records. They had a couple more out before this, and they had a couple after this, but this is the A&M Years. And then there's one extra bonus disc with some rarities and some unreleased stuff, which is kind of the thing I wanted the most. I think it's what a lot of us go for when we get these new sets and whatever. But a lot of noise going on here. All right, there we go. So anyway, the funny part is the first album I ever got from these guys was not one of these albums. There's this little department store in our little strip mall that we had, or I guess it wasn't a strip mall, it was an actual mall. And it was a department store called Woolworths. I don't know if any of you guys remember that store or not. If there's any around the country, I don't even know. It was actually the first job I ever had. Real job I ever had was working for this department store. It's horrible. It's like the worst job I ever had. But anyway, they had a little discount bin there, and I don't remember, it was full of tapes, but I don't remember how much they were. I mean, probably like a couple bucks or whatever. And I saw the album cover for Humble Pie. It was Go for the Throat, and I was like, that's interesting. I remember they had that, and they had Victory, and I couldn't decide between which one I wanted, or on to Victory, and I ended up getting Go for the Throat. Took it home and listened to it, and the songs that really stuck out were they had Tin Soldier on it, and it ended with a cover of Aerosmith's Chip Away the Stone. So, I mean, it did have some cool songs on it. I really, it's funny enough that got me hooked on them, and I remember getting Eat It and Smokin' were the next two I got, and I remember I got Eat It on 8-track, because that was actually a thing, and I don't remember where I got it. I just remember having an 8-track, because I remember it getting like all cut up in my 8-track machine and wouldn't play right after that. I was like all upset. But anyway, so I'm very familiar with all of these albums. It's got the self-titled one, Rock On, the Fillmore Performance, Smokin', which is, man, Smokin' is a great album, I think. Eat It, which, obviously love those two. I just listened to Thunderbox here not too long ago, before I even knew this was coming out. Here just a few months ago I was listening to this one, so really good one. And then of course Street Rats, which I don't think is as familiar to people as the rest, but it's still a pretty solid album, I think. But they remastered them. Sounds, I actually didn't notice quite a huge difference in sound. They seem maybe a little bit brighter, which always seems to be the case with these remasters. They seem a little brighter. I don't know if it's always, these remasters are always a good thing. I think sometimes if this is my personal opinion, if you like this style of music and these bands, you're used to hearing things a certain way, and it's nostalgic. It makes you feel a certain way. I mean, that's what music's supposed to do, is make you feel a certain way. So the way these records sound, it brings back a feeling of nostalgia of a certain point in time. It's like music is a time machine, and that's what it does to a lot of us. So I think sometimes when you change this and you make it sound, just the sound quality of it is different, sometimes it takes away a bit of that nostalgia, but that's just my personal opinion. They sound good. I mean, you can't say anything bad about it. They sound good, but it's different, and that's kind of where I'm like, kind of on the line whether I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. It's just, obviously I like listening to it, but obviously there's reasons we like the way it sounded before too. So that aside, I'm just going to skip right to the bonus stuff, because I think that's what most people are interested in. First couple songs were pretty standard classic rockin' stuff you'd expect from Humble Pie. I mean, Steve Marriott's voice is very unique. I personally don't think there's a whole lot of people out there that sound like him. He's just got this really interesting style of singing. It's higher range, gravelly, but he's got these little quirky things he does with his voice that I really haven't heard in other singers. There's other people that sing in that style, I guess, but they don't do the little Steve Marriott isms, I guess, and they're all over in this stuff. I mean, this is back in the days where just when you did a take, there wasn't a whole lot of overdubbing. It doesn't sound like on some of this stuff, and that's kind of what I like about Humble Pie. Just like they just went in and just did it. So these first two songs, the first one was their first A&M single, Big Black Dog, which was cool, pretty standard rocker, and then Mr. Ring, which lyrically I thought was weird, but I still haven't quite figured out that I'll probably have to listen to that one again and figure out what it was even about. I guess that was a German B-side. And cool songs, pretty much what I was expecting to hear, and it's fun to hear. So that's what you get with the first two. I Don't Need No Doctor. It says edit. It's like a live version, and it's weird because the bad thing about these like rarities and stuff, when you get these, you're not gonna have any type of flow. It's very hard to get any type of flow whatsoever, and I didn't expect it. And the sound quality on this one kind of dropped quite a bit. It sounds like it's old. I can't tell where the edit was done, but it's live and it's energetic, and it's just a different version of I Don't Need No Doctor, so it was fun. The next 4 songs were stuff they did with the Blackberries, which is a band I'm not familiar with at all. Didn't care for them too much, and mainly because it sounded like a young Michael Jackson, back in the Jackson 5 days, like really young ABC songs, singing all of these tunes, and it was good. I mean, pitch perfect, great singing. It just didn't. I personally didn't think it fit right. It just sounded weird to me. It was interesting to listen to, but it's their version of Twist and Shout they did. It was really. It was just strange. I don't even know how to explain it. It just didn't feel like it fit. It felt like oil and water to me, but maybe some of you out there have a different opinion of it, but just know that going into it, it's going to be a shock to the system. It kind of was to me. But anyway, and then it goes into just a bunch of, there's a couple of more B-sides, and then there's all the unreleased stuff. And, it was hit and miss. The highlights of that stuff, I would say, their version of Give Me Some Lovin' was actually interesting. The song Give Me Some Lovin', I always thought was kind of like bouncy and happy, and they actually somehow bluesed it up and made it so it wasn't really like that. And I was like, oh wow, the song actually kind of does groove. It's kind of cool. So it's interesting to hear their interpretation of that song. I actually enjoyed listening to that. That's the song I never really liked that much, but their version of it was pretty cool. And then they have a song on here called Hurt So Good, which when it first started, it had some weird, almost sounded like a drum machine type thing going on, but I can't imagine what it actually really was. It almost sounded bossa nova-ish, but I was like, oh, what the heck is this? And then the vocal kicked in, and it's one of the best Steve Marriott vocals I think I've ever heard, and it was soulful, and it was really nice. Actually, really dug that song. That song right there was probably the highlight of the whole thing. And then just ended with She Belongs to Me, which is just a short little instrumental, not instrumental, but just instrument and vocal final take thing is what they're calling it here. But it was pretty nice. So overall, I obviously know what you're getting with the first 7 albums, and it was nice to have it all in a complete set. But I would say about half of the bonus stuff was a nice listen. So I mean, that's kind of what I was expecting anyway. So I was not disappointed at all. But so anyway, just that's my thoughts on it. Anybody else has heard the stuff or has any humble pie stories or anything they want to share, feel free down in the comments, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and all that fun stuff I always say. And I'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.